Hi everybody, now back here again with another build video. This time we're going to be looking at Eduard's Tora 0 in 1/48. A really nice kit, which I hope you'll see goes together reasonably well. So I'm just showing you there some little bits and pieces, some little tips for making sure your glue don't trip over and stuff like that. I've been using for a while, and just some of the tools I'll be using. So as always with aircraft build, we start with the cockpit. I'm cutting out the fuselage here so I can paint the interior walls and all that sort of stuff. So I cut them out with big snips, and then I use my one-bladed snips to just get that nipped as close as possible, and then I will come back again with a sanding stick and basically just stand it down so we've got a nice fit. So in some parts we will need to get rid of the flat surface so we can add photo etch. With this kit you either get photo etch with it or you get a decal option, or you could just basically paint all these parts. So I'm just going for the photo etch. You can see I made the major cut with the big snips and then got a little bit closer with my one bladed, then using a knife and then a sanding stick to get the part ready to then glue some photo etch on there. Once happy, I can then start looking at where the part goes, making sure the fit's okay, and then getting some glue out and just glue it in place. I'm gluing it in place before painting it because I don't want the glue to mess up any of that paint when we come to put it in there. The way I use, way I cut photo etch is I've got like a chisel shaped blade on my craft knife. I have a tile as a sharp, as a flat surface, and then I've just got these pliers that don't have any teeth, and then I can just sand any of the nubs away and anything like that with them, and they're not going to get damaged by the pliers. So I'll do this with all the photo etch parts. There's no big parts there that need really bending tools, though I have got them. These little parts I can just use the pliers and some tweezers just to bend them where I need to. As you can see, I'm just doing there. And once I'm happy, I'm going to use some Gorilla Super Glue Gel and an old airbrush needle to spread the glue onto the actual part. I've just got a bit of glue actually on the my palette just there, and just putting a little bit on there. Then I will pick up the part, place the part, and then just let the glue dry. I don't tend to use activator. It's just something I haven't got. I get on without it, so I just let that dry naturally, and then once that's all dry, it should be ready to either go into the cockpit or to be painted. Now time to move on to the other parts of the cockpit. So this is again the seat and the pedals and what have you ready, and it's just the same process before. Snipping them off with my big ones, cutting them quite close with the little ones, and then either using a knife or just a sanding stick just to get rid of that nub and get it all nice and smooth, ready to go into the actual cockpit. Some really nice detail on these parts. Now I won't be using the photo etch pedals because, all honesty, once it's in there you're not going to be able to see it. So I think it's just a little bit of trouble that you don't necessarily need. I mean, by all means, if you want to put it in there, you put it in there, but me personally, that's not something I'll be looking at doing. So now we're moving on to actually painting the interior green in the cockpit. I'm actually using two colours. I'll use a lighter colour, then I'll use a darker colour to give me a little bit shading and stuff like that, just to add that little bit of interest in there. Though the cockpit, you're not really going to see a lot in there, you will see some of it. The parts would have been primed beforehand with aqueous primer. What is it? This is the 500, I believe. Yeah, sorry, the Surfacer 1000 aqueous, not the 500. This is my now go-to primer. It's a really good primer, and it's one that you'll see me use later on as well for the cockpit, for the actual aircraft. So next up is Hobby Colour 63. This is for the metallic primer type colour that they have in a lot of the Japanese aircraft, and this goes just behind the cockpit, and actually in the it should have been in the tail as well, though you're not going to be able to see in there because the tail will sit inside there. But yeah, it's a really nice colour. Next up, after a matte coat, it's just some gentle chipping. And I'm just going to use some sponge and metal colour paints for this. I don't want to overly chip this aircraft. This aircraft would not have been heavily worn. I mean, it was an attack on Pearl Harbor, so it's the first time this aircraft potentially was used in anger. And it wouldn't have been used a great deal before that. Yes, they would have been flying them off the ship and what have you, but I don't think they would have not looked after them as well. And once that's all done, we can start looking at adding some more of the photo etch, again using my trusty tile and my chisel type knife. And now we can start adding some of these details to the actual cockpit itself. And you can see I'm just trimming off the nubs there, and then I don't know if I can't remember if I showed it, but then I would go on to sand those nubs off to give me a nice surface for a nice clean edge for it to go into the actual cockpit. And next up, I'm going to start doing some washers and oil washers. So this is Abtai Lung's 501 Starship Filth, and I'm going to be using some low odour solvent to be able to get rid of some terps or something like that. And it's already diluted in that jar for me, so you can see I'm just dabbing it in. Once this is dry, I will get rid of it, and then it'll leave the shadows actually in there. Once it's dry, it's time to remove it. So the way I remove it, just on a cotton swab, and I get rid of most of that solvent from the cotton swab, and then I can just manipulate and remove majority of that oil. So it's just leaving it in all the nook and crannies and all the deep dark recesses and stuff like that, and it's going to help develop shadows within the cockpit. And that's the cockpit all finished. Now a quick confession. As you can see, the dashboard's there all nicely glued in place. When I came to take everything off, the dashboard have come apart, and I had to remove that, but I couldn't get it back in. So it's actually sat there without any cockpit dashboard. Now with this particular build, the cockpit goes into the bottom of the fuselage. So you can see I've got the fuselage all glued up there. I've got some cocktail sticks to keep the tape away from the edge, so I can use the tape to help pull everything nice and tight. Next up, we move on to the wings. These are really nicely designed. One of the spars is slightly warped, so I had to just manipulate that a little bit. And but everything other than that, it fit really well, and it looks really good in there. Some nice detail. So yeah, it's really well done by Eduard. This is the bit that was ever so slightly warped, so you can see I'm trying to get it in there. I'm going to put it in place, and then I'm going to get some pegs just to hold it in there. As you can see, one on one end and then one on the other, just to make sure it stays in there. I think I put one, I can't remember where I did one, but I think I put one in the centre as well. So then I would then just get the glue, and I'm just pushing that one so it sits in the right sort of place. Is it not going to work? I can't remember. So multiple different types of pegs. That one has just turned round, so I've got more of a pointed tooth, and now I can just drop some glue in and then leave that to one side just to set up, and it should be ready to go. Next up, start dealing with those seam lines. You can see I've already started work on them to a certain degree, and then I'm going to reinstate the rivets. So I just use some dynamo tape to make a solid line, and then I've got, I think the RP Productions, so they're very similar to the Rosy Riveter, but with these they don't come on a handle. You actually buy the wheels and the bit attached to the wheels that goes into an existing craft knife. So you can see there I've just put the dynamo tape on, and I'm just gently rolling it up there. Take that off and move it onto the other side, and wherever I've lost any sort of rivets, that's what I'll be doing as I'm going through. And as always, I'll be using the Crafting Well mast set with this. This one should be a fairly straightforward one. You see, I'm doing E1 101. I've got all the white banding, the roundels, and the nubbers. So first off, I'm going to put a white coat on in the place where the roundels are going to be. The aircraft has always been primed again with Aqueous Surfacer 1000, and you can see I'm just spraying the white on there where I think I'm going to put the red next and the white for the actual bands, and then I can start attaching the actual mass. So you can see I've already put on the ones for the one side, and now I'm just going to put it on the other side. It's just as simple as taking it off, making sure you line it up with the mask that's already on there, and then making sure they join up at the other side. Really simple, these ones to work with, if you can make it stay. Like I'm having trouble there, but no, they really are easy to work with. And then once they're on, I will then come and burnish everything back down with a cotton bud, and that will help. Well, that will stop the bleed underneath, hopefully. And then I'm just doing the other stripe. So next up is going to be the actual fuselage band. This one you have to make sure you get it the right way around, because obviously if you put it on one way, you see how it's not bending round right. So I can see that's not going to work. So, or is it? I can't remember whether it works or not, whether I had to take it back off. But you've got to make sure it goes the right way around, because obviously the fuselage narrows, so that's why it's cut on a curve to be able to go around the fuselage better. And as you can see, have I got it quite in the right place? I can't remember whether I had to move that again, but now we're going to start looking at doing the red. So obviously all the markings and the number in red, and I'm just going to blast this on there. Not too thick to start with, you know, build the colour up nice and slowly so we can get some good coverage actually on there. Don't forget the fuselage, the tail, and under the wings. Now we can look at the roundels. So you can see I'm just peeling them off and then putting them where they need to be, like so. Once I'm happy, and then I'm going to burnish them down and move on to the next one. Okay, so it just really is as simple as that. So this next one's going to be a little bit trickier. So you can see all the numbers that are on there. So I've put a piece of tape on, and what I've done, I've picked it all up in one go. So now I'm going to position it on the actual aircraft, go into the place I want to, and then I'm going to burnish it down, and then I'm going to start pulling that tape back, and hopefully it will leave. So yeah, it's not coming off there, so burnish it down again. Okay, making sure I go back and push it on again so I can get the tape off. There we are. And now I can pull the actual outer bit off, and that will leave all what I want on the aircraft. Okay, so you can see the E1 101, and then we can move on. Once that, I gave it another coat of primer just to go through, cover that red, and with that red covered up with the primer, I can now go on to the post shading. Now with this post shading, I've got to get used to doing it again, because I used to do black basing technique, where then I do the colours and what have you with lighter tones and stuff like that. I will add some lighter tones in a minute, just to give that break that colour up. So you can see all the aircraft there is got the pre-shading, and now I'm going in with the white when I can get it to spray properly. So with the white, I'm just doing random centre of panels, just to diffuse the top coat when I come to put it on. You can do this with any colour you want. I'm just doing it with white. You can then add some darker tones, some different tones, yellows, whatever you feels best for what you want to do for your model. Yeah, so that's basically that. So next up, I'm going to do exactly the same, but this time I'm going to put yellow down. So this again is just to break up that single colour tone that we're going to have on with the top coat, and because it's all over the same colour, so we want to break that out. We want to give it some interest to the actual aircraft. So next up we're going to use XF76, which is the Japanese green colour, and this is going to go all on the top coat. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put this in gentle coats, so not heavy or anything like that, because I don't want to lose all that work I've just done with the pre-shading. So you can see there I'm starting from the bottom and I'm just blasting it all over. No need to mask the wheel wells, because they're going to be all the camouflage colour, and then you'll see it looks really good once it's finished. Once we're happy with the top coat, it's now time to remove those masks. And if you're really careful, you can actually reuse some of these masks. You know, I don't. I just take them off, because it's very rarely I'm going to use another, do another one in this scheme. So if I was doing just roundels, for example, I might save those so that I can use them for multiple aircraft. But there you can see I'm just taking off the tail number, and to be quite I'm really happy how they turned out. As you can see, they're really sharp and they really stand out on the tail there. After all that's done, it's time to do a wash, but before that I would have put a gloss coat on, I would have put the decals that I need to put on, and then I would have put another gloss coat. Now this one, as you'll see, there's not that great in there. I need to give that another shake to make these a lot darker. So I think there we are, you can actually see it, how it's a lot more on there. So now I'm going to take it off, and I'm just going to use some thinner, okay, some oil thinner, low odor oil thinner with the Q-tip, and then I'm dragging it off in the direction of airflow with a piece of kitchen paper, and that piece of kitchen paper has just been dampened with the thinner from the Q-tip, so there's not a massive amount on there. Okay, you can see that it's leaving it, making it look a little bit grimy. Again, I don't want it overly grimy. I just want just enough there to say that it is a working aircraft, and that's basically it. Once the wash is removed, I then put a matte coat on, and now I'm going to do an oil dot filter. So all I'm doing is trying to replicate, you know, just streaks and stuff like that. So you can see I'm putting on some thinner on there, and then now I'm just going to dot on the oil in random places all over from all the different colours, and then I will just blend them in with a brush to, you know, just to blend all those colours together to give me a nice sort of like filter effect. So it's an oil dot filter. I mean, it doesn't look great at the moment, you think like it looks a mess, but it actually, once it's done and it's dry, it actually looks really, really nice, which hopefully you'll see in a minute. So once that's all done, it's time to add some chipping. I'm just using the actual camo colour, but this one's going to not have any filters or anything on that. So this is just simulating really light chipping. So it's really light chipping, as I've discussed before, because it's it's an aircraft that hasn't been overly used or anything like that. I'm not saying it's a brand new aircraft, but I'm saying it's not been flown to an inch of its life. It's been looked after well and all that stuff. So hopefully I'm trying to depict that type of aircraft, and it'll be the same with the cowling. I won't be chipping that too much. I'll be chipping it really, really gently to try and demonstrate a really lightly used aircraft. So yeah, I'm going to be using watercolour pencils as per normal. Okay, this gives me a lot more control. And you can see me dabbing them all over the place there. And again, just lightly scratches and, as if it's, it's been used, but it's not, perfect. So yeah, these watercolour pencils are really, really good to use. You can remove them with water if you've so wish once you're finished, if you're not happy. So now to start adding some exhaust stainings, and looking at a lot of the exhaust staining, it was like a browny, beigey sort of colour, moving into like a very dark grey, blacky sort of soot colour. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to mix two lots of titanium paste together, and it's going to be a real light, or should I say a really thin coat. So I just need to add some more darkness to it, and then this is going to be put on for the exhaust stains, and then I'll be using the black colour to be able to spray the actual centre of where I'm pouring these down. So I'm going to be doing this on the fuselage and onto the fuel tank, hopefully in a minute once I've got it all squared away. Yeah, there we are. Okay, so checking the pressure, and now fetch it over and start after I've remembered to mask up. Okay, you can see just very thin light coats, alright, to replicate that's where the exhaust staining is coming from. Once I've done that, I will then use this dark sea grey, and this is just going to go into the centre of the actual staining. Okay, again, just slightly going on there, just to show that it's oil staining and well, exhaust stains and stuff like that, to give it a really nice effect. So after adding all the add-on bits, the undercarriage unmag, that's all finished. She's not perfect by any stretch of imagination. There's a fogging on the windscreen, the dashboard's missing, there's other parts missing, but yeah, it was an enjoyable build. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed it, and I will see you on the next one. Bye for now.